Hey, folks, as goes Israel, so goes the world. None other than Globetrotter, not the basketball player, but world renowned speaker, author, and much, much more. To know him is to love him. It's Avi Lipkin. How you doing, Avi?
Great to be with you again, as always.
It's always
Well,
good to be with you, man. We trying to figure out our audio issues, and I'm glad that we did. It looks like you're doing well, and you're right there in front of that beautiful welding wall there. That's a pretty cool there. Pretty background
yeah,
scene there.
our own set that up.
Yeah, I know. I just need you. Well, Avi, hey, first tell me how you're doing.
Everything terrific. Yesterday, I had a very tough day. I went with my wife to the supermarket.
Oh,
Yeah. And then we went to the health clinic, and everything is fine. I have a doctor who's a little crazy. I think she's in love with me.
yeah.
She
Well,
said,
hey, come on.
she said, she said to me, "You are not traveling. You are staying home until your A1C sugar comes down."
Uh-huh.
So, and she gave me some kind of a crazy pill, and the sugar's coming down. So,
Hey, the
yeah.
sugar's coming down, and well, I was really excited about you coming back to the States. So as soon as you can, from what I understand, you're coming back to the States, right?
Well, yes and no. What's the problem here? We have the next 3 months, the time that I'm going to be like recuperating. We
Okay.
have Purim, we have Passover, we have Independence. So I'm hoping, and the doctor agreed. She said, if your sugar gets normal by 1st of May, then you travel 1st of May. Now, what has happened is I'm getting invitations all over the place.
Right.
Uh, so I really need like 3 months in the States. So I have to drive from Florida to Texas to Oklahoma, over to Colorado, and then to either I go north to Montana and then to the West Coast, or I go to California. And Tom Hughes wants me to come to his church. He has a few other churches in
Sure.
California.
Sure.
And as much as we laugh about California, but the churches are very serious, so it's good.
Well,
So
hey,
I don't
they
know. And then somewhere, I got to get back to Texas, park my car there.
yes.
So it's going to be really 3 very full months, starting early May.
Right.
And I don't know. I mean, it's flexible, but again, you never know. War could pop up again. Every time I turn my head, a war breaks out.
Well, Hamas and Hezbollah might be less likely to do their routine attack and expect the millions that the Democrats love to give terrorist organizations.
Right.
But with Trump in office, maybe a little different. Maybe the return on investment is destruction instead of millions of dollars. And so I noticed that more hostages have been released. That all of them need to be released and
Right.
the regime, the world sponsor of terror, Iran, who have enjoyed billions of American cash,
Right.
sometimes in the middle of the night on pallets. Uh, the head needs to be cut off the snake. They need to be uh, dealt with, and the
Right.
people of Iran liberated. With that said, what's the word from Netanyahu?
Well, you should ask him yourself. I mean, he's in the United States
I
now in
know,
Washington,
I know.
in Foggy Bottom, and he's there with the president. I think in a few hours he's meeting with him, and so we are all very excited about what's going on. One of the things they said in the Israeli news is that this whole trip has been planned out so much in advance that basically we already know it's scripted. It's all the way down to what they're going to be saying and how what agreements have been made. Everything, there are no surprises really here.
Right.
So we are very optimistic that it's going to be a good meeting. It's been planned out, and we have a lot of things to deal with. Egypt is preparing for war with Israel. Turkey is preparing for war with Israel. If we attack Iran, Russia and China are preparing for war with Israel. We just have to make sure that the president of the United States is with us.
Well, I would assume that he is. There's never been a president as friendly to Israel, fulfilling promises, long made promises, as President Trump. And
Right.
I think it's safe to assume that all the Arab nations are always preparing for war with Israel. But if you can, are you able to expand or expound on Egypt, on their stance right now? I thought they were all for the Abraham Accords. We know that Biden and Obama halted that because they wanted the Palestinians, they wanted Hezbollah and Hamas to be a part of that, and they're not nations. So that's interesting. That's interesting. What do you know about Egypt that you can divulge?
Well, we all understand that Egypt is a pharaonic country.
Right.
In other words, the same mistakes that Pharaoh made 3,500 years ago, he's making them now also. Israel is not an enemy of Egypt whatsoever.
Right.
We we made peace with Egypt in 1977, 79. There were a lot of trials with the Egyptians, but we overcame the trials, and the peace has kept until now. But you have a former minister of war by the name of Huwaidi, and Huwaidi said war with Israel is imminent, and that Egypt is ready. Tantawi, another former minister of war, said even though Israel has nuclear weapons, Egypt will know how to cut off the arm of the enemy when the time comes. This is in 1995, 1994. I got court-martialed from the Israeli army for quoting Stan Goodenough from the Christian embassy, who was quoting the Egyptian media. And I said to him, listen, I'm not saying we have nuclear weapons. That's a no-no. When you're in the Israeli army, you cannot talk about Israel's nuclear capabilities.
Right. Right.
But Stan Goodenough was quoting these Egyptian war ministers. In 1996, I was part of the military. I participated in top brass war games. And we were told then that Egypt is preparing for war with Israel. All these different things that keep popping up. Why are they preparing for war? They got Sinai to the last gram, that piece of sand of Sinai. We did everything the Egyptians asked. Why are they preparing for war against us? We have no plan to prepare for them. And yet, the American military, the American government has given the Egyptians weapons to attack Israel. And this is good for the American military-industrial complex. Who was president in '96? It was what's his name? Not Jimmy
But
Carter.
Clinton.
Clinton.
Yeah.
Clinton was not a friend of Israel. But I participated in the war games, and we were told that Egypt would attack, Iran would attack, Saudi would attack, Lebanon would attack. Everybody's going to attack us in November of 1996. This was just after Netanyahu got elected the first time. You look at Egypt. Egypt has a number of neighbors. Libya to the west is not an enemy. Libya will not go to war with Egypt. To the southwest is an African country called Chad. Chad is not going to go to war against Egypt. Sudan is a brotherly nation to Egypt. They're not going to attack Egypt. The only country with a border, common border, is Israel. And this is after Israel withdrew from Sinai. Listen, they attacked us in 48. They attacked us in 56. They attacked us in 67. They attacked us 68 to 70. They attacked us 73, the Yom Kippur War. So it's been 50 years without a war. But time has come for a war with these Egyptians. No agreement is valid the moment the Egyptians decide that they want to attack. And so we look at the massive weaponries that they're buying. Actually, the Egyptians are buying weaponries from other countries too, from Germany and England and other countries, Russia.
That's astounding. And in light of the Abraham Accords, I mean, my gosh. Um, that's very puzzling. You know, I thought that Sisi was the Trump of the Middle East.
Um,
I
you
guess not.
know, the Egyptian population has now hit 100 million. I don't want to say that they're starving in Egypt, but they're starving. And it could be that a war with Israel would deflect the concerns of the Egyptian people. Say, oh, it's Israel's fault and attack. So we're watching carefully. Turkey is preparing for war with Israel. Um, Listen, I'm telling you, I'm dying to come to the States and have a good time with you guys.
Yeah.
I love. I go to church more than Christians though. Every time I prepare my suitcase, bang, another war breaks out with.
Well, the churches in America love you, Avi,
I love that.
and more should. But here we are. Oh my gosh. Wow, what a predicament. So, this week's meetings, of course, you say most agreements have already been, if not all, have already been decided. We just get to
Yeah.
hear the after effect. But my goodness. You know, folks, that's why it's important to call your representative. They consider one phone call to be 1,000. They really do. If four people each city were to call their state representative and say, "Look, you better support Israel if you want us to vote for you again," you would see a difference in votes towards Israel. However, with this new administration, we are seeing a shift. We're not seeing the same tolerance of anti-Semitism. We're not seeing the same tolerance, coming from the White House towards anti-Semitism, and towards Semitic. Well, okay, well, you know what I'm saying. I should have had more coffee, Avi. I traveled far and wide to be with you this morning, and from where I was, and I am not disappointed. It's so good to see your face, and we know that we need to pray for Israel, but we also need to make sure that our representatives understand that we support Israel. The people of America support Israel, and more churches should support Israel as well. And so go to biblicalalliance.com, and get involved. Book Avi at your church. Go to your Chase Bank, Dennis Avi Lipkin, and help him. I'm delighted, but I'm also surprised in a good way that you are doing well, not being able to travel and do what you do, speaking and selling books, during this war. And hopefully we'll get to see you pretty soon.
I
Uh,
have to
yeah, yeah.
have to tell you something a little on the funny side.
Okay,
Uh, there is a Bible study group, a Christian, in Atlanta, Georgia, and every so often I drive from Florida up to North South Carolina, Virginia, but I stop in Atlanta and I have a group meeting there every time.
right.
So there's a group coming in a few days from Atlanta. And my son said to me, we asked them if they knew you. And said, yeah, yeah, because of Avi, we're coming to Israel. So my
Hey,
son said, good that you're staying in Israel. They want you to come to speak to their group in the hotel here in Israel. So I'll be speaking to a group from Atlanta. And, we're still waiting to see what groups are coming, what groups are not coming.
right,
But it is very hard to plan tourism 6 months in advance when these crazy wars break out. And you know what? Trump is right. He calls these crazy wars. Why is it? He's a real estate man,
right,
and the deal is a deal. In the Middle East, you can't cut a deal with anybody because everybody's lying. And then you turn your back, they stab you in the back. So I think President Trump he has the right advisors, good Christian men and women,
right.
and I think they're telling him the crazy stuff that the Arabs do.
Well, he's got a dream team, and he's not concerned about making anybody happy or appeasing anyone. It's very clear that the Communist Democrat Party, we're just now uncovering the trillions of dollars that have been wasted. And it's being said that a half of the money laundering aid to Ukraine, Didn't make it to Ukraine. Where'd it go? I think it went to the Dems and the Rhinos, where I think it went. But there are people who actually invest in war, Avi. War doesn't have to make sense. War is very profitable for the right people. And we live in a sick world, you know. But God holds Israel in the palm of his hand. And I'm glad that he does. And we need to
Amen.
pray
Amen.
for the
Amen.
peace of Israel. But yeah, I mean, I hate to say it. Hey, there was a time you could invest with the House of Krupp in war. So war's very profitable. People invest in war, you know.
Yeah.
And look at the game that's been played. The UN, you know, uh, uh, if rockets were being shot over our borders, we'd take care of the problem pretty fast. But when Israel responds, oh, what's such a humanitarian crisis? Well, stop hiding your weapon caches and hospitals and schools and mosques. But the world seems to conveniently turn a blind eye when Israel defends itself, and it has the right to do so. So, but what a game it is. A terrorist, the United States gives billions to Iran. Iran gives billions to terrorists. Terrorists attack Israel. Then the terrorists get millions directly from the U.S., right? Quite a game. Pretty profitable. It needs to stop. And I believe that it will. I believe it has a better chance of stopping under Trump and his dream team. What a dream team! What a handsome team! Oh my gosh! The freak show clown off that we've seen the last 4 years. I think even our enemies were embarrassed for us. But my gosh! But here we are. What is the tempo? What's the temperature with the people of Israel? How is their resolve in terms of confronting their own socialist uh, leadership that is, I think, aging out? But what's the word on the street there?
Well, they're saying in Israel that 90% of the Jewish people back Netanyahu, but 10%, which controls the media, they are never Trumpers. In other words, never Netanyahuers.
Right, right, right.
And but the people in Israel watch primarily Channel 14. I will say though that Channel 15 or 24, all these stations have double numbers. Has begun to move to the right. So on the Sabbath, there's no TV on Channel 14 because they are Orthodox. But Channel 15 or 24, I-24, they brought in a lot of reporters from I-14, and they're right wing. It's a pleasure, So I know I have two channels I can go with. And then there's a lady on Channel 11, Channel 1. Her name is Ayala Hassan, and she's very right wing. So we flip the channels a bit, but we get the news. And then you get the news when you have me. But 90% of the Jewish people in Israel back Netanyahu,
Right.
Including the hostage transfer. But that 10%, no matter what Netanyahu does, he's no good. But these crazy left wing socialists, they're getting older and older and older. The ones that founded the country, and the younger population, which is more religious and more Sephardic, is Jews from Middle Eastern countries who've been treated very poorly by the socialist elites, which are Ashkenaz. I think it'll take some time, but little by little, all these crazy old socialist communists, they're all going to either retire or be retired.
Here in America, not only has the populace lost all trust in the mainstream media, they disdain it.
Yeah.
They disdain it. And I'm curious, what level of disdain are the people of Israel towards the socialist media?
Well, Channel 12 is totally left wing, and they are totally disdained. Who owns it? Ehud Barak, former prime minister, who's a socialist,
Uh-huh.
all against Netanyahu. Channel 13 also. 14 is right wing, 15 is half and half, and then Channel 11 is pretty much socialist, but they have these holdovers from the last 30, 40 years who refuse to retire. now we have a new chief of staff in the Israeli army, and he's going to fire a lot of communist generals who have been sabotaging Netanyahu's war plans. And so I'm optimistic overall.
Has any ground been gained in the investigation of the Hamas massacre? You don't just sneak up on Israel. Uh,
Everybody knows. Everybody knows. Uh, the uh, the previous chief of staff rigged the investigations in such a way that they'd be favorable to the generals who were guilty of the misevaluation, the wrong evaluation. Now the new chief of staff, who is not tainted by any of this, is showing that he's going to carry out true investigations. And but the people already know that you had a concept among certain generals, and that carried the day with the left. And we lost 2,000 people on October 7th, and we had to pay this horrible price to get back, 100 hostages.
yeah, like baby boys in exchange for people who've coordinated 40 or 50 suicide bombings and scores of deaths. It's not an even trade. But the resolve of Netanyahu for his citizens, I believe, is unparalleled.
Yeah,
It's shameful even for America. There were American hostages, and you didn't hear about them in the mainstream Marxist media.
right.
But we have to fix the problem, not just put a bullet over a band-aid over a bullet hole, so to say.
Yeah,
It's time to cut the head off the snake. And
I
I
think
pray,
that's the meeting with Trump, that they are preparing for what has to be done. They're setting the new agenda, the U.S. Israel agenda for the world.
very interesting, very interesting. Oh, how many towers are falling? How many associations are being done away with? Unnecessary associations and departments of our government. Found out this morning 2 million given to Guatemala for sex changes and LGBTQ activism. My gosh, folks, you were robbed in America. Your tax-paying dollars. You're trying to afford groceries, and LGBTQ activists are getting $2 million of your tax dollars in Guatemala. Sounds like it's time to uncover mass corruption and do away with these uh, ridiculous money laundering schemes. I don't know. I've never heard of similar situations regarding Israel. I mean, I'm sure there's always waste in government, but I haven't heard even from the left scrutiny in regards to budgets with the Israeli government. I'm sure they're there, but they're not widely publicized.
You want to hear something?
Yeah.
It was revealed just like 2 days, 3 days ago that some of our top generals, retired, are having very, very big, lucrative business deals with Qatar.
Ah,
Who's Qatar? Qatar is the one who's funding Hamas.
how about that?
Yeah. So
Small world.
our new chief of staff is going to take care of all that, hopefully.
Yeah. Well, may Netanyahu and Trump have success this week
Amen.
in cutting the head off the snake, and may the citizens of America and the citizens of Israel deal with those who have betrayed their country.
Yeah.
And we'll just say it's a good thing I'm not president. But
You would
our prayers are with Trump and with Netanyahu.
you would just come out and say you wouldn't like what I do to you.
Yeah. Yeah. Today, President Fricker ordered the public hanging of every communist leader in every city and every town in America. Yeah. So God knew what he was doing when he placed me in media instead of politics. But all that to say is we have to have the courage. Our enemies have the courage to betray us. They have the courage to massacre us. They have the courage to profit from our deaths. We need to have the courage to deal with them and follow through. And I pray that we do. Avi, it is such a pleasure to see your face. I'm glad that you're doing well. We pray for you. We pray for Israel and the peace of Jerusalem and the apple of God's eye and for success with Trump and
Yeah.
Netanyahu this week. So, and I can't wait to see you in person. But Avi, until
Well,
next time, we
amen.
love you. We'll see you next time.
Until next time.